Ate that frog.
Didn't even know I was sick because I knew nothing.
And there's a voice in my head saying, there's a frog. Tell me, let's go and take some frog medicine.
I would say that Kambo really actually modulates and rebalances us.
That's incredible.
You have learned how to find your center even when there is really loud discomfort and these stress and these like uncomfortable conditions.
Am I experiencing it purely from a sensation, physical body sort of experience? Am I conscious? Am I fully conscious?
I think it's really important that people do not give away their power to some external tool to do their healing for them.
Do you think it's for everybody?
I don't think anything in this world is for everybody.
Yeah.
I really believe that everyone is so individual and we have different needs and desires at different periods of our lives.
You have a path or you let the universe to guide you? Ate that frog. Well, literally, there's a book about frog on our table out nowhere.
It's a sign.
It's a sign. Yeah. I'm here with Caitlin, and welcome to the Cocoxperience podcast. I'm so happy that you're here with me. I mean, it's a bit of a last minute thing, but I feel like the universe been calling us to meet. It's been arranged.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Caitlin Thompson. I'm from San Diego, California, but live part-time here in Bali, Indonesia. And I am a Kambo practitioner, instructor, and researcher. And I mean, there's so many different avenues that I could go, but I'll just start with that and see where your interest takes us in our conversation.
Yeah. I mean, you have an impressive background because I love how the integration of science and spirituality and real human experience combined. And obviously I know a little bit about your background, that you have history of Lyme disease and some other conditions. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey?
Yeah, absolutely. Like a lot of people that have been led to Kambo and sharing Kambo as a medicine and a modality, my personal experience with it was really what fortified my passion for working with this medicine. And like a lot of people, I didn't really go looking for Kambo. It kind of found me. And I was born sick. I didn't even know I was sick because I knew nothing different than to be exhausted, in pain, depressed, anxious, and just have a general struggle to thrive. And when I was, it was 2015 or so, a friend came over and had mentioned to me that he'd been working with this frog medicine.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I was very intrigued.
Yeah.
And I actually had heard about Kambo previously in the jungle in 2011 when I was there for an ayahuasca retreat. And I thought...
Where were you at this point?
In Iquitos, in Peru. Yeah, in the Amazon.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, that sounds dumb and dangerous, and like, why the hell would anyone do that? Sounds like some crazy shit the natives do, and you just don't, mess with that. But then when my friend came over, he was the first person who had actually described benefit to the experience, and then I became really curious. So I was like, okay, take me with you next time. So he did, and I had no expectations. This was really at a time in my life that I just was exploring anything and everything. So I was kind of just, a bit of a tourist. And I
open mind.
What's that?
You just got an open mind.
Yeah, psychonaut, right?
Yeah.
Like just going down every door I can as a young person.
Yeah, that's the best.
Yeah.
I wish that for everybody every day.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So I go through this process with the Kambo, and it was surprisingly profound for me. And like I said, at this time in my life, I was just starting to figure out how sick I had been for my whole life. And it was because I was exploring with different modalities and dietary interventions and supplements and things like that. And when the Kambo came into the picture, I was starting to kind of accidentally improve. And it was creating this contrast that I had never had before, and showing me that there was a level of vitality and pain-free existence that I had never experienced before. And that was when Kambo grabbed a hold of me, and it never let go. And so I started with self-administering. You know, at this point in time, there wasn't a lot of people that knew about Kambo. It was still very, very fringe. I mean, kind of still is, but there wasn't anyone to go to, you know? So we just kind of did Wild Wild West, did things ourselves, which is not necessarily how I recommend people go and do it now. But I started self-administering to continue my, you know, relationship with it. And then my like roommate was like, well, can you serve me? And I'm like, I guess so. And then it was like a friend, and then a friend of a friend. And then next thing I knew, I had strangers asking me to serve them. So I didn't actually like look for the opportunity to be a practitioner. It fell into my lap. And gosh, after about 100 administrations on other people, I was like, all right, this doesn't seem to be going away. It's just the calling is getting louder. And I have no freaking training whatsoever, which is irresponsible. Don't do it like me, folks, right? So then that's when I went and did a formal certification training program. And when I came back from that training, it just exploded, and it never slowed down. And for the next 4 years of my practice, I was serving prolifically, like 400 times a year, and got really burnt out.
Mostly in the U.S.?
In the U.S., yeah. This was in San Diego. And then I had to, you know, take a break and came to Asia and, you know, took a year off and stuff like that before kind of reemerging and stepping more into leadership of teaching and research and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been a, you know, Mr. Frog's wild ride, as I like to say it. And the whole journey has just been, you know, infused with magic. And it makes sense because this medicine in the traditional origins was used for hunting magic. It actually wasn't used for healing disease so much, which is a more novel application of Kambo. It was used for magic. It is like an alchemical substance that has these unexplainable, you know, effects on not only our physiology, but just like the world around us in a very quantum way. And it's super unique and kind of bizarre.
That's incredible. I mean, I was just trying to put myself into the journey in steps and just see the surrendering to nature as a general theme that I'm feeling. To really trust in her and to allow her to heal you. And in simple like English, what is Kambo?
Yeah, so Kambo is a ritual that comes from the skin secretion of a very specific type of tree frog. The species is called Phylomedusa bicolor, and the common names are like the giant monkey frog, giant waxy tree frog. There's a few different names. And there's various tribes in the Amazon basin that have historically used this substance, but it's applied through superficial burns made on the skin, commonly the arm or the lower leg, but you can apply it to other parts of the body. And within 30 seconds to a minute, all these bioactive peptides that are contained in this frog's skin secretion, its sweat essentially, enter through the lymphatic system and get into the bloodstream, and then they interact with all these receptors and organ systems in your body to produce these very potent physiological responses that can look like a toxic response, but it's actually just the mechanisms of the like pharmacology of the peptides themselves. So this is a bit of a common misconception because the secretion is used for defense purposes, right? And in some terminology, you can say it's a poison from like an ecological perspective. However, it's not actually toxic to humans. There's no evidence so far that there's toxic effects to mammals. And so a lot of people, I think, believe that you know, you're responding with this like purgative experience of vomiting and sweating and temperature changes and general feelings of malaise, they think it's because they are having this poison response, but it's actually just the direct physical result of the peptides and how they operate in the body. For example, some of the peptides actually cause secretion of gastric juices and contraction of smooth muscle, or like gallbladder or pancreas secretions, or bladder secretions and stuff like that. And there's also, you know, these blood pressure effects and effects on the cardiovascular system that affect heart rate, things like that. So it's very much a direct result of the peptides themselves working with our physiology, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And the main purpose would be to, from what I've heard of, like from internet science, bro science, the purpose is to cleanse, purge, detox. Like what is it trying to do? What is it trying to heal our body from or with?
Yeah, I mean, that has become the common language that describes what people think they're using Kambo for. I personally think that's not truly accurate or sophisticated enough to really even describe and appreciate like how much more complex it is. I would say that Kambo really actually modulates and rebalances us and brings us back to a homeostasis and balance in our physiology, and in doing that also allows us to come to this homeostasis in our spirituality and our psychology as well, because all these things are so interwoven, of course, right? So, you know, there's really not a ton of science on Kambo. There's a little bit of science on the individual peptides, and that was done like, 20, 30 years ago, and there hasn't been much since. So there's not a lot of like really concrete information where we can make claims about what Kambo is doing. But there is a tremendous amount of anecdotal evidence of it benefiting people in certain ways. So perhaps there's detoxification effects. There seems to perhaps be benefit to like the vomiting and the purging. One, because bile becomes this like solution that ends up really kind of consolidating toxic substances. And that is part of our body's natural detoxification mechanisms. Yeah. So actually removing old bile that's like saturated with toxins and forcing the body to regenerate fresh supply can be viewed as a method of detoxification. And secondly, vomiting does have this sort of gut-brain realignment property because it is this coordinated effort between the brain and the gut. And so it is ultimately a nervous system related phenomena in the body. So in theory, having the experience of nausea and vomiting can improve vagal nerve tone and the connection between the gut and the brain axis. And lastly, perhaps most importantly, people get to decide what they're going to assign meaning as far as their purge.
Intention.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that is not to be underestimated.
Yeah.
It's incredibly powerful to utilize consciousness medicine. I mean, we know this the placebo effect is the most widely studied drug intervention on the planet. It's been studied more than any other substance, right? And so we know that consciousness, when it's choosing to engage in a demonstration of a choice to heal and a ritual around healing, then it actually works in our biology, which is, I'm like, dude, let's learn more about that and how we can amplify the power of that. And that's why ritual is so valuable. And creating intentional containers where there are these opportunities that people can be empowered with the choice of what they're choosing to let go of in that act of purging. So there's value there, and yet purging is not the end-all be-all. If someone doesn't vomit, it doesn't mean they're not going to receive benefit from the experience. So I think we can often put so much emphasis or pressure on like the purging being like the goal.
main thing, yeah.
And it's not. It's a beneficial thing, and
Yeah.
it ultimately is a
It's a byproduct.
it's a result
experience.
of something that is positive that's happening, like
Yeah.
energy moving.
Yeah, yeah.
But it doesn't mean that that person's
main
not
goal.
getting benefit or doing work in that space.
Every fiber in my being just like, yes. Yes. Do you know what? Like, I think after Aaron mentioned about you and connect us on to social media, and then we got each other WhatsApp. I think a day after, I've got a dream,
Oh.
and it freaks me out. But I start to fall asleep, and there's a voice in my head saying, "There's a frog. Tell me, let's go and take some frog medicine."
Oh.
And I remember that in the dream, I wasn't even taking any medicine. It was just the intention of like, okay, I'm going to go this way now. I'm going to follow. And it's again, what you just said, setting intention and the medicine of consciousness. So then I was following his magic, and I was like seeing colors, and then snakes start to come out and bite me. And I remember it was so scary, but I felt like looking back. And then I for some reason, I've got my mum was there to look after me, and then some relative from my dad's families. And in real life, they never have a relationship. They just hate each other. But the snakes come out to bite me, and then they were there together and like just give me affection and like taking care of me in harmony. So I don't know. I was trying to reflect, and then I woke up the next day. I'm journaling. I'm like, you know, it's the snake is like all my fears and my judgment and all the limiting belief like coming out, and the healing of the feminine in my female lineage, and purging, detoxing, coming together and healing something. But I don't know, this initiation was the frog. And I don't know if that was, you know, it's him calling me or not, but I'm so excited.
Yeah, I think frog is flirting with you. This is very common. I find that the spirit of this medicine really does work a lot through dreams. And it's very, very common for people to talk about having dreams like that, where there feels like there's this significance and this depth to them and that they can't explain. And they just know, like out of the blue, they're like, I need to do this. I need to do this.
Yeah.
I need to connect with this medicine. And when frog chooses you, there's no escaping it. It'll just get louder and louder until you finally are like, okay, I'm listening.
Yeah.
And it's very, very common. I mean, it's just so prolific that I hear stories like that all the time.
Yeah, so it's incredible. And okay, I'm so excited. I'm a bit scared, so I'm not gonna lie, because I'm seriously considering, like, thank you for such your kind invitation to do the Kambo ceremony. I want to know everything, and just treat me as one of my audience who actually never had that experience, and very curious, and really probably understand there's values and there's benefits and there's magic, but also need to understand what the whole process will take. Yeah. So I know that our date is 31st of July, and so walk us through what the process is about and what I have to prepare before, during, after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to look different with every practitioner, right? There's so many different unique expressions of carrying this medicine. But typically, how I administer is within a ceremonial context. And I really like to utilize that ritualistic container. So I always, first off, I'm big into like harm reduction and informed consent and helping people feel prepared, because I do think that it's so important for them to come with a clear intention and that they'll get so much more out of it. So everybody gets, preparation information and perhaps like an intention setting worksheet guide if they want to do that. And by the time they arrive at my place, they kind of know what to expect. They've, read a bunch about the process already. And I sit down and I chat with people and explain everything as far as the logistics, the orders of operation, what it's going to look like, and some safety guidelines to make sure that you can stay safe, and also, you know, tips to help you move through the experience with grace. And then we open up the ceremony, and I like to administer 2 other medicines prior to the Kambo, because I really feel they help set an intentional setting and can really kind of induce a parasympathetic or like relaxation response before the Kambo, which I find makes the Kambo experience way more effective and productive for them. So I use rape, which is a tobacco snuff that's blown up the nose. And then the other medicine I use is a sananga, which may be kind of less well known. Sananga is a botanical eye drops, and it comes from a plant called Tabernae montana undulata, which is actually in the same family as the iboga plant. For anyone that knows iboga or ibogaine, it's very interesting. But yeah, the eye drops are quite an experience. They do produce this really grounding effect in the body and really move stagnant energy and can feel a bit euphoric. But the catch is that you kind of feel like you have chili sauce in your eye for about 30 seconds to a minute. And it's, you know, there's a very strong initial sensation.
Right. Rape is quite strong as well.
Yeah, it can be, for sure.
Yeah.
But part of...
I always cry.
Yeah.
I had it one time, but yeah.
Part of the value, though, of like going through these like kind of mini challenges beforehand is I get to coach my client in how to intentionally
Embrace
deprogram this bracing instinct. So in so many parts of our lives, we just like harden up, we go into survival mode, and we're trying to just like smash through and survive things. This is the stress response. This is the trauma response.
Yeah.
This is a sympathetic nervous system response. Got to run from a lion, right? Protect myself. When someone tries to approach a medicine experience with this same mentality, and they're trying to heal their traumatized nervous system that's stuck in this state to begin with, you actually will get nowhere, and it's counterproductive. Yeah. And you can actually cause the person to kind of double down on this coping mechanism and reinforce the traumatic patterning. So what I'm trying to do, kind of like using a weight at the gym, I'm adding these like challenging stimulus, like the sananga burning or the rape or the Kambo even. Yeah. I'm adding this challenging stimulus, and then through intentional reprogramming and conscious choice, they are learning how to reprogram their contraction. And they're actually, really what they're doing is they're cultivating the skills of inducing a parasympathetic relaxation response on demand. How useful is that? So if you're moving through life and you're stressed and some crazy shit just went down, or you know, whatever, but you have been going to the gym, you've been doing your Kambo gym training for your Jedi mind training, right? And you have learned how to find your center even when there is really loud discomfort and these stress and these like uncomfortable conditions. You are so equipped to move through any difficulty in life. And that's why this is a practice, and that's why it takes work. These are tools. They don't magically heal you. You have to show up at the gym and lift the barbell or whatever. The barbell doesn't do it for you. So it's just the same with Kambo and these other medicines, that they teach us that the way through is actually by allowing, by softening, and by surrendering completely instead of fighting against and trying to just brace ourselves through these intense moments of life.
So let's an example of rape, like as it goes through one of your nose, like I notice the sensation of like it just burns. And so in that moment, is it the ability to lean into the sensation and to be in your body and to know that it's safe and it's healing you and it's supporting you in a safe container as well, just to be with it.
100%.
Is that the practice?
Yeah, it's an embodiment therapy. At least the way that I use these medicines.
Yeah.
It's different. You know, some people use them for rite of passage, you know, like warrior intense.
Yeah.
And there's a time and a place for that.
Yeah.
And it's a different strategy. But yeah, I mean, so many people are disconnected and disassociated from their body, from really feeling their feelings, from feeling the sensations of their being and the subtleties of that.
Yeah.
And so these medicines, they bring us back into our body, and they allow us the opportunity to explore these sensations without running away, without pushing them away. Because Kambo is like a Chinese finger trap. The more you try to pull or just, you know, just fight against it, the more suffering you will create for yourself completely unnecessarily.
So now at this stage, you have instruct people with safety guidelines, and then now it's actual ceremony. Right? We come back to the process of taking Kambo.
Yeah. Sorry, tangents.
So, yeah.
So then when it's time, you know, when they get through the Rape and the Sananga, then we do the Kambo. I make the burns. Typically, people will imbibe a certain amount of water.
But like, does it like leave scar? Like, and where is it gonna be? Like, I think I'm scared about that.
It depends on the person's skin.
Okay.
Certain areas will scar differently or take longer to heal.
Yeah.
You know, in mine, they mostly heal. You can't really see them at this point.
Yeah. What's the most common place to?
So upper arm is typical.
So
yeah.
here?
Yeah.
And is it one dot or is it?
So usually the first session will be, I'll make 3 burns just so that they're ready to rock. You may not get all 3 of those points on you depending on your sensitivity. So if it's a person's first time, for example, I'll always do what's called a test point.
Yeah.
So I'll apply 1 point of medicine to start, and then from there I evaluate them over the next 3 to 4 minutes, just watching them, checking in with them, and that gives me an idea of what dosage is going to be appropriate for them.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you have people that are highly sensitive.
Yeah.
You put 1 point on them, and they are one and done, cheap date. And then other people, you know, you put the 1 point on, and you're like, cool, they don't even seem to like notice anything. So that test point is really important for informing an accurate dosage. And it's something that I want more practitioners to do, and it's part of what I teach in my training is like the emphasis on doing no harm and having these protocols in place where we can be more precise, more proactive, and more safe for our clients.
Yeah. And so now I've got 1 burned on my arms. Do I feel it immediately, or I'm going to wait for another second?
It's about a minute, 30 seconds to a minute.
Right.
You'll probably start with your heart beating faster and harder. You'll probably get a hot flushing sensation in the body, maybe tingling sensations, vibrational. Yeah, you can already feel it. And pressure building up in the head, your heart beating in your temples. Sometimes you might get some facial swelling. That's totally normal. It is not allergic reaction.
Okay.
Sometimes people can be alarmed because they're like, oh my God, is this like a histamine response? Is it like a bee sting? Am I going into anaphylactic shock? Am I going to die?
Yeah.
No. It's just a normal like blood pressure phenomenon. And sweating is normal. Shaking is normal. Sometimes people can have like these emotional releases. And then nausea will come. Your friend nausea.
Right.
And, you know, then you'll perhaps have the opportunity to release through purging via vomiting. You might also need to purge on the toilet.
Right.
So it can look different for every person. Also because each batch of medicine's from a different frog, right?
Yeah.
They're unique just like we are. And every day is different. So I can't ever tell you what your experience is going to be like for you or what it's going to feel like, but these are the most common expressions of Kambo.
Yeah.
And generally, it's like a 20 to 30 minute process of being in this, safe to say, uncomfortable space where there is all these intense things happening in your body, but what you do in that space is entirely up to you, and that's where you'll either emerge with gifts or you'll emerge with a lost opportunity, you know. And it takes practice, which is why multiple sessions is good, because first time you do it, you're just like, what the hell was that? It's really hard to get a lot of good work done that first session.
Yeah.
It's really like the froggy handshake.
Yeah, because traumas and conditioning and goes back into in many layers.
Yeah.
So, but all these expression of Kambo, am I experiencing it purely from a sensation, physical body sort of experience? Am I conscious? Am I fully conscious?
Yeah.
Like my mind is here, I'm here. Like I know what's
you
happening.
should be. Yeah.
Right, okay. So I'm I'm not seeing colors, I'm not hallucinating.
It's not a hallucinogenic substance. It's not a psychedelic substance.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people confuse Kambo, which comes from a frog, from bufo or 5-MeO DMT from the toad. Very different substances. However, I would say it can be mind expansive. People can pass out and faint, and they'll go on these little journeys, and they'll have like dreams and stuff, even though they were out for 4 seconds. They'll be like, oh my god, I was dreaming, I was in this place. They can describe it. So sometimes stuff like that happens, and sometimes just really weird thoughts and feelings can come up too. Like your chemistry is definitely altered, but and in that moment you are a bit incapacitated to do anything highly functional, but you're mentally there. You can generally communicate. You can crawl yourself to the bathroom. Like you kind of know what's going on, but it wouldn't be a good time to drive a car just because you're so sick. Right? It's like if you have food poisoning, it's not time to operate heavy machinery, right? But that lasts for like 20-30 minutes max.
So usually it would last for half an hour, the whole experience.
The actual effects of the Kambo, I mean, the ceremonies itself can be 2 to 2.5, 3 hours, but
from the moment I've got a burn and I've got that intense experience.
I would say about 30 minutes.
30 minutes,
And then, when you're complete with the process, you remove the points, and it comes down remarkably fast. I mean, within 5 to 10 minutes, you're feeling like way, way better. So I let people lay down for about 20 minutes or so, and and then they bounce up and they're like, wow, and they have this like afterglow, and they feel amazing. They feel open. They feel raw. They feel vulnerable, expansive. I mean, there's a lot of things people can feel, and really the gifts of Kambo, it's not so much like in the purgative experience, though there is opportunities for that there. It's in the days, weeks, and months after the experience.
The integration.
It is this initiation of this slow unfolding process, like a lotus flower opening. And it's the clarity and the spaciousness and the perspective that people receive after the experience, and those in that first week after, that's when life really starts to shift for you. And this is when it gets really, really weird, because you're like, how is it that something that I took and was very just physical, right? Now feels like it's affecting my reality in this external world that I live in. And this is where it gets very quantum and the fabric of space, time, and consciousness, and
weaving.
This is where you can't explain it really and compare it to anything else. It's unique in this way, but you'll just start to see the essence of your life, all the bullshit, all of the stuff that is not in alignment, all the things that are really not serving you will start to just fall away. And it can be disorienting. It can be kind of destructive. I call it bulldozing your cottage to build a castle. So sometimes this medicine is very common, is a very cathartic medicine. Sometimes that energy will shake us up and disrupt things in our lives that are not working. And it can be difficult to go through, but it's always ultimately for the best. So people sometimes get out of relationships right after doing Kambo. They quit their jobs. They just get the courage to be like, I'm
Live.
done doing something
Live.
I don't want to do.
Live. Yeah.
Yeah. So in that way, it can be a bit destabilizing and challenging for people. But it ultimately generally leads people to a higher path of existence and their real truth.
Do you think it's for everybody?
I don't think anything in this world is for everybody.
Yeah.
I think so many people could potentially benefit from Kambo. And there are some people that probably shouldn't take it or don't need it. And that's okay too. There's so many amazing tools in this world. There's breath work, there's diet, there's yoga, there's meditation, there's exercise, there's friendship, there's swimming in the ocean, whatever. So I do think that Kambo, though, is pretty well tolerated by most people. And I didn't do a good job earlier really describing the benefits of Kambo, but there's a tremendous amount of physical ailments that Kambo has been applied for with great success, such as Lyme disease and chronic infections, pain, digestive complaints, addiction, trauma, diabetes, metabolic issues, cancer. I mean, the applications are tremendous, and it seems to just work really good for most things. I hate thinking about anything as a silver bullet because I don't believe in those, but I would say that Kambo has so much bang for its buck as far as its ability to be targeted and effective in providing this custom healing experience for that individual's unique body. And there's also this bizarre spiritual aspect of it that, again, is hard to describe because it's just like magic. But people do come to Kambo for strictly like psycho-emotional or spiritual purposes too. They feel stuck in their life. They feel like tired or uninspired. They feel misaligned. They feel unsure of what direction or path to go next. They have to make a decision, or maybe they're about to step into fatherhood or something like that. Yeah. So Kambo really can help orient us again to our highest self and bring us back to our true essence. So, and those aren't mutually exclusive from the physical benefits as well. And a lot of times people are experiencing both. And that's why this medicine's so useful, is it does address the whole person in their entirety. So as far as, who should use Kambo, I think if you have something that is not feeling optimal in your life, whether that's a health condition or an emotional experience or pattern or whatever it might be, then chances are Kambo has room to assist you in making your life better. Some people shouldn't take Kambo. I generally don't think it's wise for people with severe heart conditions or a history of heart attack. If somebody's had an aneurysm or a stroke or embolism, the risk is high. If someone is pregnant, we don't really know a lot about, the effects on a fetus or a pregnancy, even though in the jungles they have used Kambo historically in women that were pregnant, both to fortify the fetus, but also to abort the fetus in some scenarios. So you do have to be careful about that. And then if somebody, of course, is perhaps under 18 or they do not have mental faculties to consent, then maybe best not to serve them as well. But the application is just tremendously widespread, and it is a very, very safe substance when administered properly by a trained provider.
You have the depth of your knowledge and passion for the medicine.
I get excited.
So over the years you experience, what are some of the mistakes that people make, before they go on ceremony or before they're taking the medicine? What are some of the things that they should not do, or mindsets that maybe just hold them back from fully experiencing the benefits of it?
Yeah, I think sometimes people don't really take it seriously. And excuse me, that's important because for example, some people might just like try to squeeze it into their day and then make plans after in the afternoon or something. And really, you should clear your schedule and just take the time to lay down and rest, because you might be absolutely exhausted and also highly sensitive.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to like have some sort of important thing that you have to go and do and show up and be a certain way, because you might feel really, really raw. Yeah. I've also encountered people that made the mistake of, you know, drinking champagne at brunch the next day and were absolutely punished for that. And lastly, I think it's really important that people do not give away their power to some external tool to do their healing for them. When people show up, this happens a lot in the chronic illness, you know, clientele that I work with. They're like, yeah, I heard this is gonna fix my Lyme disease. And they show up and they wanna just be fixed, like this is a pill the doctor's gonna give them. And I'm like, that's not how it works. This is a tool for you to choose healing. And so I'll ask them like more about, well, what are the deeper like psycho-emotional facets of your illness that have caused this to manifest? Because that's a real thing, you know, like trauma and all these like deeper emotional and spiritual parts of ourselves fester into illness. And there's science on that. It's not actually that woo. You know, we know the physiological effects of stress, you know, chronic stress, and how that bubbles out downstream to affect immune function and things like that. So,
and if they haven't looked at any of that and they just want to find one solution for everything,
exactly,
it's their responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're still outsourcing their power. Yeah. And so part of what people actually need to do in order to heal from a chronic illness is to reclaim their power and believe that they are capable of being healthy, that they're deserving of being healthy, that they can choose vitality. And so when people come to me, I always invite them to explore these deeper parts that they perhaps never even connected to their illness. And sometimes people take that invitation and they have these amazingly expansive experiences of healing. And some people don't. And, you know, people have to be ready for, you know, when they want to go that next level. But the ones that show up that refuse to take accountability for how they have perhaps unconsciously perpetuated their own self-imposed prisons, they don't get better. They do the Kambo and they don't really get it. I don't know, I'm no better, it didn't fix me, it didn't work. And I'm like, no, you didn't work. You didn't take accountability for how you are the one creating your own reality. And I know that can be offensive to someone who feels like absolutely, utterly destroyed by the circumstances of a chronic illness. I know. I've had chronic illness, and I know how insulting it can feel for someone to suggest that, you know, you are actually the cause of your own illness. But as somebody who has been on both sides of the equation, and when you cross over and you take responsibility, it's hard to see when you're in that box. Very narrow space and you're ill. But I promise you guys, it really is us who chooses to heal. So yeah, again, that's like where the aspect of ritual and expert guidance is really important to synergize with the magic of the Kambo itself.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go and meditate on the power of consciousness. I think that's probably the biggest takeaway, one of the biggest takeaway. And I think that's the message that nature assists us to have. And I have so many other questions, to be honest, but like I'm just running through Zealand thing in my head. I feel like I'm probably going to do the ceremony.
Yay! Then we can do another episode, and
Yes,
you can talk about your
afterwards to
experience.
tell about my experience. But I'm open. Like I want to receive the medicine. And obviously we know that Kambo has a lot of physical benefits and healing your physical body. Have you got, from your experience with confidentiality, obviously, any story from your client who has magical transformation or changes in their personal life, whether it's like a path or like an emotional experience or like a relationship situation from taking Kambo?
Oh yeah, I mean, I have hundreds. I've served thousands of people. I mean, I've had people fly from all over the world to work with me. I had one woman fly from Reno, and she had Epstein-Barr virus and had been debilitated for, like 6 months, couldn't work. And she did 2 sessions with me. That's all, just 2, back-to-back days. First day, I put 1 point of medicine. Second day, 2 points of medicine. She went into remission, and she basically stayed healthy for the next 5 years. Wow. Yeah, from 2 sessions.
Wow.
Crazy. More recently, had someone fly from Australia for their stage 4 breast cancer. They had surgery to remove, lymph nodes. And they did 5 sessions with me in 2.5 weeks. And when they went back for their checkup, there was no sign of cancer. And the doctors tried to insist that they must have misdiagnosed her. She's like, you did surgery on me. I was stage 4. Like, you misdiagnosed me. And she had been doing other interventions, like a ketogenic diet and herbs and stuff like that. But yeah, it was completely just dismissed by conventional medicine as like, well, it definitely wasn't this frog thing you were doing. But, there's tons of stories like that. I've just, there's been so many miracle after miracle that I've gotten to witness. But there's been a lot of people who, they like broke up from, a toxic lover, that week or whatever, or all this crazy stuff just shifted in their life and they lost their job and then this opportunity came in and just like all this magic. And I mean, just stories after stories after stories. And at a certain point, you just come to understand that this is the nature of the spirit of Kambo. This is how it operates. This is the trends of how it moves energy in our lives with those who choose to engage with it and ride the waves of its magic.
And with relate to your work, like where do you see your work being spread, given to more people? Like, where's the path? Like, do you have a path, or you let universe to guide you?
I work for Frog, so
that's your boss.
Frog boss, and Frog rides me hard. It'll back off if I'm like, please, you're killing me, and then it'll back off a bit. But I'm very much, feel that I am a channel for whatever the agenda of this spirit is. Personally, I'm very passionate about raising the standard of competency and integrity and values of the Kambo field at large, because it is wild, wild west, and anyone can be a self-proclaimed Kambo shaman or whatever. It's not even such a thing. And people are serving other people with no training, right? Just like I did. And that's not okay, because people will get hurt. People are getting hurt. And if enough accidents happen, this medicine goes bye-bye. It becomes illegal. And then it becomes more dangerous because it's prohibited and unregulated and things like that. So I'm really all about harm reduction and educating people, helping people realize that they don't even know what they don't know, and encouraging them to really dedicate the time and the energy to learning and operating the right way. So education and training is like a big part of my mission, and I'm already seeing that some of the things that I'm sharing are bubbling out and changing the space. It's changing the conversation. I watch all these accounts on social media, and I see people starting to share information that came from me, uniquely from me, and that makes me really happy, actually. And then also as a scientist, you know, there's really no one else like looking around like, who's going to do this? There's no one else really pioneering this field. And there's just so little that we know about Kambo scientifically. So my aim is to really validate what we know as practitioners through actual data and actually use that information and that data to inform best practices. For example, in a recent study that I completed, you know, we can see things like the closer the sessions are to each other, the less psychological benefit in some metrics people are getting, which suggests that maybe spacing out sessions a week or so actually is more optimal. Or we can see that...
Do you think it's because there's integrational period in between?
Yeah.
And that's we'll have to honor that.
I think that's very important. Yeah, and also just the brutality of like, again, you're doing 3 days in a row. You're surviving the experience. You're blasting through on this like contracted, you know, tough guy approach. So things like that, you know, where we can actually look at the numbers and go, people got more out of the experience when these practices were in place. Yeah. So yeah, I really just want to see the space, you know, as it will inevitably grow. I want it to grow with grace. Yeah. Because I'm afraid that if it is not stewarded into the global world in a way that is in integrity and with respect to its origins, with respect to the frog, with respect to the people receiving Kambo, it could be bad. So we're at a very critical time in the popularity of Kambo where it's important that people step up into leadership who are going to be good leaders in this space.
I have so much respect to how you think. It's not just about the frog medicine that you serving and you working for and you giving it to people and spreading the magic. But I think you got me when I asked you, is it for everybody? And my personal opinion is like anything on the extreme as we experience in our culture right now and on social media, it's anything extreme is just a trauma response. And the world is becoming so divisive in so many ways. So honestly, apart from the frog medicine, I would love to get your take on some of the current trend or like other topics, just so the audience can understand a different way of looking at things. So let's say, what do you think about keto diet and vegan diet?
Yeah, I mean, I really believe that everyone is so individual and we have different needs and desires at different periods of our lives. And I'm just like, don't really tell people what's right for them. My ethos is very much about celebrating each person's autonomy and supporting them on their path of listening to what their needs are and figuring out what their unique blueprint for success is.
But try them all and see what works for you.
Yeah, and you know, maybe you go through different periods of your life. I've been through periods of my life where I'm ketogenic. Yes. I've been through periods of my life where I'm vegan. And, you know,
just like the seasons.
There's benefits to both of those diets for different periods of our lives and what we're trying to accomplish. So I don't know. I'm pretty moderate when it comes to making claims about anything. I'm just like, maybe, I don't know, try it. You let me know.
Okay, we have like 3 minutes left, but the second one is poly relationship.
Again, it's like, it just depends on what you want at what point in your life. I've definitely had beautiful learning experiences by being in non-monogamous situations, and I'm at a point in my life now where I enjoy the safety of having a really like solid, committed, secure relationship and attachment. So again, I don't have an opinion on what's right for the general, you know, population. I think people just need to choose what's best for them, and that might change. It might ebb and flow.
100%. And where can we find you?
Yeah, so people can connect with me on Instagram or Facebook. My handle is Medicine Frog Kambo. And you can also find me on medicinefrogkambo.com. And if anyone's ever interested in practitioner training, or if they're an existing practitioner and want to advance their knowledge, I have also some online courses in different niche areas for people that just want to like deepen their expertise in Kambo. And you can find that on kambospecialist.com. So yeah, if you have any questions, you can always reach out and engage with me on those channels. And yeah, I'm just really grateful.
I'll make sure all the details in the description.
Great.
And last question, do you think I'm ready?
You're always putting me on the spot. I'm like, I don't know if you're ready. I am not the person to tell you that. I think
energetically, as you feel in, let's say, okay, you're my mentor now.
I think the frog is calling you.
Yeah.
And I think you have the choice if you want to do that now or if you want to delay it and do it later. But you're here with me, and I see that as a sign. There's a book about eating a frog on the table.
That's insane, actually.
I think that you're ready.
I just saw that now. So we come back for the second episode after we do the ceremony.
Part 2. Love it.
I appreciate you.
Yay.